Imagine yourself stepping quietly through a dimly lit forest at dawn, the chill in the air mingling with the earthy scent of the ground beneath your feet. In your hand, you hold a long, beautifully crafted bow, its string taut with potential energy, ready to unleash a deadly charge at your command. The arrows in your quiver are not just tools, but an extension of yourself, each one a piece of carefully honed wood topped with razor-sharp metal. This is the life of the medieval archer, defined by more than just the heat of battle. Today, we'll journey deep into a world where survival and skill are intertwined, a world demanding a rare combination of strength, grace, and unwavering focus, unraveling the intricate layers that defined an archer's existence during these tumultuous times. In this era, being an archer involved more than just wielding a bow. It was a way of life that began in childhood and was deeply embedded in the culture and expectations of society. Archaeologists and historians paint a vivid picture of the medieval archer's world. Far from the chaotic imagery often depicted in films, an archer's life was a continuous cycle of discipline and dedication, akin to the rigorous training of athletes or artists today. From a young age, archers began training under the watchful eyes of elder mentors, who imparted their wisdom and experience. Boys were often introduced to the fundamentals of archery before they even understood its lethal potential, turning it into a craft about mastering oneself as much as mastering the bow. The bow was no mere instrument of warrant, was a revered tool entrusted with providing sustenance and protection. The ability to hunt effectively or to defend a stronghold relied heavily on one's proficiency with this powerful weapon. As they honed their skills, young apprentices practiced for hours, firing arrow after arrow into distant targets, learning to judge distances, adapt to varying conditions of wind and weather, and anticipate the movements of their quarry or the chaotic dynamics of the battlefield. Unlike the knights who towered over them in the social hierarchy, clad in suits of armor and mounted on gallant steeds, medieval archers often hailed from more humble beginnings. Yet, their role was no less vital, arguably more crucial at times. Armed with longbows or crossbows, archers could strike from afar, their arrows capable of piercing armor and causing chaos among enemy ranks. Their presence on the battlefield was sometimes decisive, as seen in numerous historical engagements. The English victory at Agincourt in 1415, for instance, can largely be attributed to the prowess of the longbowmen. These humble troops unleashed a storm of arrows that disrupted and decimated the heavily armoured French knights. In this way, the archer represented the power of precision over brute force, leveraging skill and strategy to outmaneuver stronger foes, embracing an art of warfare that required both individual talent and collective strategy. However, the life of a medieval archer was fraught with paradoxes. Despite their crucial contributions, archers often occupied a lower rung on the social ladder, overshadowed by the more esteemed knights. Yet, they were respected for their specialized skills and their ability to execute complex strategies. There was a romanticism attached to their lives, a notion of the lone hunter or the concealed guardian, quietly surveying the world from afar. This paradox of respect and anonymity created an intriguing dynamic in their social standing. The archer was both vital and expendable, a dichotomy that mirrored the broader tensions of medieval life, where status and utility were constantly negotiated. Off the battlefield, archers contributed to their communities in numerous ways. They were hunters and providers, using their skills to supply food and ward off threats from wildlife or hostile neighbors. The territories surrounding their communities offered a vast arena to practice their craft and ply their trade. The forests and open fields were their domain long before they were a battlefield, their souls steeped in the rhythms of nature, seasons, and cycles that dictated daily life. Their training demanded a profound familiarity and respect for the land, an understanding of animal behavior, and a keen eye for subtle movements and signs. Intrinsically tied to this role was the notion of balance. The archer's life revolved around harmony between human ingenuity and the natural world. The creation of their weapons bows, made from resilient and flexible yew wood, arrows fletched with precision echoed the principles of sustainable resource use and living in sync with one's environment. Every arrow freed was the result of craftsmanship that tied the archer to the artisans who carved their weapons and the ancestors who passed down their knowledge. This enduring link between the past and present positioned archers as essential players not only in battles, but in the very fabric of medieval society, reflecting a blend of tradition and innovation that was culturally significant. Their unique position, straddling the line between artisan and warrior, gave them a distinctive role in the socio-political dynamics of their communities, bridging gaps between different social classes through their contribution to local economies and communal safety. The life of a medieval archer provides us today with fascinating insights into an age where human potential was often defined by the ability to wield tools with efficiency and insight. Even now, the archer's world finds resonance in how we aspire to practice and master complex skills, whether it be in art, sport, or personal development. It serves as a timeless reminder of the balance required between precision and strength, practice and instinct. In contemporary contexts, the mindset of an archer determined focus on accuracy, adaptability, and anticipation can be applied to personal growth and strategic planning, analogous to solving modern-day challenges. We might find ourselves drawing on the same mindset, a Zen-like focus and discipline that served archers so well in their meticulous craft. Thus, the archer's pursuit of excellence and his intertwined relationship with his environment serve as metaphors for the modern journey of mastering any art or skill. As we contemplate the life of the medieval archer, we can take a moment to appreciate the profound silence before an arrow is loosed, a charged void filled with potential, a breath poised on the brink of action. It's a silence that envelops us as we delve into this ancient craft, a craft that, despite the centuries separating us from its prime, still speaks to the timelessness of human determination and the pursuit of mastery in every endeavor. Reflecting on this, we find a convergence of history, skill, and spirit, embodied in the archer always aiming towards the far horizon, ready to make their mark on the world. Through this lens, the archer remains a potent symbol, illustrating the enduring nature of human endeavor and resilience, urging us to find our purpose, align ourselves with the environment, and strike with precision and purpose in our own lives. Picture a craftsman in the medieval era, his workbench cluttered with tools all dedicated to one single task: crafting the perfect bow. The flickering light of a candle casts shadows across intricately carved wood, each piece a potential masterpiece in the making. The making of a medieval bow was an art form requiring exceptional skill and a deep understanding of materials. Crafting a bow was not merely handiwork, it was an exacting process that brought together elements of art, science, and a profound respect for the gifts of the natural world. In an age devoid of modern engineering, constructing a bow capable of both accuracy and power was a considerable feat. This delicate balance of strength and flexibility was traditionally achieved using yew wood, valued for its unique properties that made it ideal for creating a lethal yet elegant weapon, revered in both hunt and war. In medieval societies, the bow was more than a weapon. It was a crucial tool for survival and a symbol of craftsmanship that connected humans with nature. The meticulous process of selecting the right piece of wood was the first step. Craftsmen would seek out the perfect tree, judging its potential by the grain, flexibility, and strength of the wood. Yew trees, with their hard outer layer and softer core, were particularly prized for their resilience and elasticity. Once chosen, the wood had to be seasoned left to dry slowly over months or even years to retain flexibility without cracking. This patience was essential, a testament to the craftsman's understanding that good things took time. Every part of the process, from choosing the wood to carving and stringing, the bow demanded precision and expertise. The craftsman would carefully shape the bow, following the natural curve of the wood to enhance its integrity and performance. The bowstring, usually made from hemp or linen, required just as much care. It needed to be strong and flexible, precisely tuned to ensure each release was as true as the last. The art of bow making was passed down through generations, with techniques refined and guarded as invaluable knowledge. This tradition reflects a broader narrative of how skills were transmitted in pre-modern societies, serving not only to preserve technical knowledge, but also to cultivate a deep respect for the people who invested their lives perfecting their craft. The bowyer's skills, honed over years of apprenticeship, combined intuitive understanding and methodical craftsmanship. Each crafted bow bore personal inscriptions of the bowyer's stylier signature blend of practical application and artistry. With each completed piece, bowyers remained conscious of their heritage, aware that they were contributing to a legacy that stretched back generations. Beyond their practical function, bows carried cultural significance and prestige. They were sometimes decorated with intricate carvings or adorned with markings, highlighting the symbolic relationship between man, tool, and nature. Archery and bowmaking were inherently linked to the concept of sustainability. In a world where resources had to be carefully managed, the use of natural materials was fundamental. Bowyers worked in harmony with their environment, understanding the importance of maintaining a balance between utilization and conservation. By using local materials and crafting each bow to suit its purpose precisely, they minimized waste and respected the trees that provided their raw materials. This sustainable approach ensured that bow making not only flourished in its own right, but also contributed to the broader health of the community, both in terms of survival and environmental stewardship. The making of the medieval bow exemplified a deeper ethos of living with the land, not merely upon it. When considering the complexities of creating a medieval bow, it becomes apparent why this craft held such a significant place in society. It was a reflection of the expertise and patience required to create something that could alter the course of a war or the fortunes of a hunt. In wartime, a well-crafted bow could equalize power across social hierarchies, allowing commoners to challenge armor-clad aristocrats successfully. Thus, understanding bowmaking is essential to grasp the wider socio-political impact of medieval societies, where an individual's skill could redefine power dynamics. Additionally, witnessing this process offers invaluable lessons in patience and dedication, seen through the meticulous steps taken to turn a raw piece of wood into a refined weapon. There lies a lesson for the modern world within this archaic practice, the importance of appreciating the interplay between time, skill, and resource management, and the rewards that patience and precision can bring. Bowmaking involved paradoxes that resonate deeply with modern sensibility to a story where simplicity meets complexity. While the bow itself seemed like a basic weapon compared to the contemporary military technology, its creation was anything but simple. This paradox of creating a powerful tool from rudimentary beginnings offers us insight into the human capacity for innovation against the odds, a reminder of how seemingly modest endeavors can yield profound societal impacts. Bowmaking teaches that in the blend of craft and nature, there resides a greater understanding of balance, adaptability, and resilience. The age-old practice urges modern society to reflect on its current approach to manufacturing and consumption, inspiring a shift towards more sustainable and responsible methodologies. Incorporating principles from historic bowmaking, contemporary efforts can draw upon its sustainable ethos and appreciation for craftsmanship. It remains essential to recognize the symbolism embedded in each medieval bow lesson in humility and patience, a reminder that even in an increasingly complex world, there is joy and achievement to be found in simplicity and careful work. Through this lens, the process of designing and creating the medieval bow becomes a metaphorical guide, encouraging future generations to look backward and learn from the ingenuity of the past, to forge ahead thoughtfully and sustainably. As modern crafting practices evolve, there is an opportunity to rekindle the bowyer's spirit of innovation and harmony with nature, applying it to a wide array of disciplines. Reflecting on the medieval bowyer's journey offers rich, timeless insights. Their blend of technical skill, environmental stewardship, and dedication instructs us on the virtues of patience and the beauty of simple yet powerful design. The creation of a bow was an art form that bridged necessity and elegance, deeply imbued with the culture and natural world that gave it form. In contemplating their crafted legacy, we find parallels in the pursuit of excellence across various human endeavors, forming a legacy that transcends time. Envision an early morning in a medieval village, a young apprentice rising with the sun, mindful of the day's arduous tasks ahead. The journey to becoming a skilled archer was one of relentless dedication, beginning at a tender age, often guided by family tradition or community necessity. This immersive training was integral to the medieval way of life, as crucial as learning to farm or forge metal, embedding archery into the social fabric as much as into the individual soul. Early training started with a simple practice bow, tailored for a child's strength, crafted not to kill, but to instill the essence of focus and endurance. Day by day, this young archer would engage in repeating, drill-aligning the body for stability, steadying the hand for precision, and calibrating the eye for unerring aim. The practice field was both a crucible and a sanctuary, a forgiving ground on which the fundamentals of archery were methodically imprinted, honed with each flight of an arrow. As the young archer matured, the artifice of childhood tools would give way to their true counterpart: sturdier bows, more lethal arrows, and a quiver that grew heavier with both equipment and responsibility. This transition was more than a test of physical capability. It heralded an intellectual and spiritual awakening. To wield a true bow required understanding its mechanics, the physics that governed the arc and velocity, and developing intuitions born of experience. Training diversified to include calculating trajectories by instinct, compensating for wind and distance with a glance, and learning to judge the adversary's movements even before the first shot was fired. Instructors, often seasoned archers themselves, emphasized the importance of mental resilience, determination, unwavering despite potential failures. They taught that each missed target was a lesson in disguise, urging their charges to decipher the language of their errors, extracting improvement as surely as an arrowhead pierces the mark. Archery, hence, became a discipline of the mind as much as of the body. Comradeship among fellow archers was cultivated through shared mastery and trials. Group hunts, training games, and simulated battles were woven into the training, not just for practice, but to engender teamwork and camaraderie among the ranks. In these structured forms of alliances lay the seeds of cooperation, which would be crucial on future battlefields. Young archers learnt to rely not only on their own skills, but also on the synchronized efforts of their peers, creating a unified force that could execute complex maneuvers and strategies with precision. This collective training instilled discipline and strategic thinking, preparing archers to respond to the chaotic tempos of war with decisive teamwork, blending personal prowess with tactical unity. Shape and stamina honed in rigorous training were later tested in real-world conditions, whether in the dense cover of woodland hunts or the daunting openness of battlegrounds. By teaching archers to blend into their surroundings, to read the environment, and to strike with silent precision, instructors refined their charges into multifaceted warriors. Skirmishes and hunts became extensions of the training ground, nurturing adaptability and silent wisdom. Archers became akin to chameleons, shifting seamlessly between the climes of strategy and instinct, ensuring that they remained challengers that left their indelible mark on history itself. The knowledge gained from each encounter became a cherished arsenal, a means to dissect tactical landscapes with familiarity and easier resource that was as vital in ensuring survival as the arrows in their quiver. As archers reached maturity, they attained roles of increasing significance within their communities, their skills no longer mere rites of passage, but cornerstones of defense and sustenance. Their training had transcended practice, evolving into a binding element that sustained the rhythm and fabric of life. In times of peace, archers safeguarded borders and ensured provisions, their presence reassuring, silently woven into the fabric of society. In times of conflict, they were thrust to the forefront, crucial linchpins in the strategies of war, where the precision of an arrow could alter the course of history. This transition reflects a social contract predicated on trust and necessity, proving that the archer's art was not an isolated pursuit, but one that reverberated through communal existence. Despite the demands of their role, archers bore a social prestige tempered by humility, embodied in the quiet confidence acquired through rigorous training. They were respected for their skills and discipline, admired for their ability to remain focused amidst chaos. Their training not only enabled them to serve as effective warriors, but also instilled in them qualities of leadership and foresight, making them trusted figures within their communities. Archers became exemplars within the medieval social hierarchy, embodying ideals that transcended the battlefield dedication, resilience, and integrity. Their journey from novice to master was not a solitary path, but one that connected them intrinsically to the community, reflecting a mutual dependence that fortified both individual and collective identities across generations. The mentorship of master archers, the generational passing down of accumulated wisdom, formed the bedrock on which new talent flourished, ensuring that the knowledge of past generations was preserved and enriched. Seasons of training ebbed and flowed, cycles of learning and teaching that ensured an unbroken lineage of expertise. Skills nurtured with care were entrusted to promising novices, each lesson a thread that wove new layers into the rich tapestry of archery's legacy. This heritage echoed the natural cycles of growth and renewal, where the lessons of the past were not static relics, but dynamic narratives that empowered each new generation. The sharing of insight fostered a living tradition, ensuring that the lessons of the past were neither forgotten nor squandered. The saga of training, rife as it was with rigor and endurance, offered more than the ability to wield a bow. It cultivated virtues integral to the human experience: perseverance, adaptability, and an unwavering quest for mastery. Drawing parallels between time-honored practices and contemporary pursuits, emphasizes how the values honed by medieval archers stealthily pervade modern consciousness. Athletic training regimens, artistic endeavors, or academic studies often embrace these ideals, echoing the discipline once demanded by the archer's path. Today, they serve as core tenets in personal and professional spheres, demonstrating that our ancient predecessors crafted paradigms of achievement that, subtle as archers in the forest, endure undiminished. Reflecting on the experience of these medieval trainees, we find not only history's faint echo, but a vital framework that inspires and informs our lifelong pursuit of learning. In medieval warfare, the battlefield stretched far beyond the clash and clamour of armoured knights. It extended to the silent, deadly world of the archer, where strategy and stealth reigned supreme. The peculiar prowess of medieval archers resided not only in their marksmanship, but also in their strategic acumen, which rendered them indispensable on the battlefield. Imagine a rolling landscape shrouded in morning mist, where a contingent of archers lies in wait, their eyes trained on the advancing enemy. Their presence was a game-changer. Experienced archers understood the value of terrain and positioning, using natural features like forests or hills to their advantage, masking their presence while maximizing their range. This strategic use of the environment was a key factor for victory, allowing them to strike with deadly precision and then melt back into cover, leaving bewildered foes behind. Archers were pivotal in shaping the tactical dynamics of medieval battles. Unlike foot soldiers locked in immediate combat, archers operated with a broader perspective, often commencing an engagement with a barrage that could disrupt enemy formations or instill confusion and panic. By softening the opponent's front lines with a hail of arrows, archers set the stage for cavalry or infantry to engage more effectively, highlighting their crucial role in multi-layered battle strategies. Hence, the rhythmic release of arrows was not merely a show of force, but a calculated technique designed to maneuver adversaries into susceptible channels. Formations, such as the English longbowmen's famous lines, provided a withering hail to which few enemy ranks could adapt, altering the rhythm and flow of combat in favor of those who mastered such a layered approach. Indeed, well-coordinated archery was capable of dispelling both horse and rider, creating havoc among armored battalions that might otherwise have seemed impervious. The strategic deployment of archers often yielded decisive results. Consider the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, where the English, though vastly outnumbered, secured victory largely due to their archers' strategic positioning and relentless onslaught. Positioned to unleash arrows in volleys that pierced even the thickest of armours, English longbowmen showcased how disciplined strategy and overwhelming firepower could overcome numerical inferiority. The archers' attacks left French forces disorganized and vulnerable to the English cavalry and infantry follow-up, effectively winning the battle before the two sides could fully engage in melee. Their ability to transform a battlefield reflects a deeply ingrained understanding of military tactics, demonstrating that the skillful artisan archer was as much a strategist as a warrior. Such examples serve to underscore the critical role archers played in altering the course of conflicts that shaped history, revealing an undercurrent of intellectual warfare that often tipped the scales. In the thick of combat, archers had to swiftly adapt to the changing circumstances of battle, demonstrating a level of situational awareness remarkable for the time. The battlefield was dynamic and fluid, with every engagement presenting a new set of challenges. Successful archers were those who could remain calm under pressure, assessing threats rapidly while maintaining focus on their objectives. They had to intelligently divide their attention between the localized aims of each shot and the broader strategic objectives of their commanders, a mastery akin to being both artist and artisan under duress. Moreover, these tactical decisions were often life or death calculations, adding a weight of responsibility to every move they made. The understanding of timing when to hold a shot, and when to let fly, and of spatial geometry, how to arc a volley to best breach a defensive line, were critical, intuitive skills refined over years of experience and practice. The command structure of medieval armies also evolved to leverage the unique abilities of archers. Leaders began to integrate archers into their strategic planning, recognizing the potential impact of a well-placed volley on enemy morale and positioning. The development of specialized units and the incorporation of archers into mixed arms tactics transformed them into indispensable components of the military machine. Archers were no longer merely auxiliary units, but integral players whose actions could alter the course of battle. They were utilized in innovative ways, engaging in harassment tactics, defending fortifications, and protecting more vulnerable units. By embedding archers in battle lines and utilizing their rapid, ranged attacks, commanders crafted adaptive strategies that embraced the flexibility and precision of archery in various contexts, from open fields to sieges. Archers' significance extended beyond the battlefield, affecting the broader scope of medieval military theory. The inclusion of archery altered medieval armies' composition, encouraging the development of new technologies and defenses, namely variations in armor and fortification designs tailored to withstand or reduce the threat of aerial assault. As armor technology advanced, so too did archery tactics, leading to an arms race of sorts, where innovation and adaptation continued to redefine the parameters of warfare. The trebuchet and similar siege engines developed partly to counteract the advantages of entrenched archers, marking an era where technological innovation paralleled tactical ingenuity. Equally influential was the impact on logistics and military planning. Supplying archers required a consistent flow of resources, from the production of bows and arrows to the training and maintenance of skilled ranks capable of performing under dire conditions. Effective logistical support became significant determinants of success, emphasizing the need for organized supply chains and fortresses well stocked with the necessary equipment. This shift stimulated economic activity tied directly to war, from bowyers and fletchers to supply caravans and agricultural productions supporting large standing troops. The demand for archers created socio-economic ripple effects, interlinking civilians with military campaigns as their collective industries intertwined survival with defense. Therefore, recognizing the value of archery led to a reconsideration of military and economic strategies across kingdoms. As nations sought advantage over one another, archery became a symbol of both martial prowess and tactical intelligence. Its influence serves as a microcosm of how military priorities shaped broader social and technological developments during this period. The ascension of archers redefined not only tactics, but the very architecture of medieval power, forever etching their presence into the annals of history as essential architects of their time's military success. Today, we remember the era not as one dominated by knights and castles alone, but as a testament to the quiet power of the bow, which reshaped boundaries and beliefs as surely as it drew its string. In the medieval age, life was replete with hardship, and the archer's journey was no exception, each day presenting a blend of physical, mental, and social challenges. Archery required a continual honing of skills and a focus on maintenance, diets rich in proteins and nutrients to sustain their physical demands, and even personal hygiene to prevent illness from impairing their ability to perform. Unlike the romanticized versions presented in tales and movies, the harsh reality was that they endured a grueling lifestyle marked by the relentless cycle of training and survival against a backdrop of societal expectations and warfare demands. Their calluses bore testament to hours spent with the bow, while their keen eye sharpened by countless hours of precision, practice reflected a mind tuned towards constant vigilance. It was not just about surviving battle, but thriving in every moment, even those away from conflict, that required their utmost resilience and dedication. Living as an archer meant existence in a world where danger and opportunity lay intertwined, straddling a line between celebrated skill and modest social standing. Society, while respecting their martial prowess, often viewed archers as lower in the hierarchy compared to the chivalric knights, resulting from a complex confluence of class perceptions and military function. Despite their key roles in war, archers were seldom the heroes of courtly ballads or chivalric romances, yet their contributions were invaluable in defense and territorial assertion. This underappreciation for their social contribution carried its own burden. Despite their victories, they remained in the shadow of knights, their efforts often overlooked by those they protected. On battlefields, archers were imperative components of the conflict's rhythm, initiating engagements and supporting positions with their acute precision. Yet away from the din of war, they seldom enjoyed the glory that their knightly counterparts did. Moreover, the sustenance of an archer was as much about the tools of their craft as it was about their mental state. The upkeep of bows and arrows was a meticulous task requiring dedication and skill. A bow demanded regular maintenance of restringing, oiling, and ensuring an even arc and tension to match the intensity of usage. Arrows needed careful crafting to stay true in flight, demonstrating that the attention to detail mirrored the finesse required during actual combat. Each piece of equipment held personal significance, often crafted by the archer themselves or by trusted artisans whose hands imbued each item with reliability and personal connection. Keeping their tools in optimal condition was not merely a chore, it embodied an archer's commitment to their role, indicative of a deeper respect for their craft, a reflection of their inner discipline mirrored outwardly in their meticulous equipment care. The mental terrain on which an archer lived was equally demanding. Constant readiness for battle meant living with the shadow of violence looming ever near, necessitating a perpetual state of physical and mental acuity. This readiness was not born from fear, but from acceptance and mastery over the mind, a testament to their endurance and temperament. The pressures of war-bred resilience and tactical thinking, while life's unpredictability in a world governed by shifting political landscapes and alliances fostered adaptability. An archer had to think on their feet, applying quick judgment, not just in the heat of battle, but in daily life, assessing when to conserve energy or expend efforts fruitfully. Mastering these skills meant that peace itself could become a battlefront of different challenges filled with mundane tasks that safeguarded future engagements. Community life was important to an archer's existence, weaving a support network within the intricate fabric of medieval hierarchy that provided solidarity to balance their often solitary vigilance. The camaraderie among fellow soldiers could light up even the most daunting campaigns, giving archers bonds akin to brotherhood, nurtured through shared challenges and triumphs. Off the battlefield, their status often made them integral to the village, participating in local defense, hunts, and even training younger generations in the craft and honor that underscored their quiet yet vital influence. Social interactions and festivals served as temporary respites in which archers could find joy amidst adversity, celebrating harvests or victories, fostering an environment that balanced work and community with revelry and storytelling. Archers' families also played vital roles, often assisting in crafting and maintaining gear, providing emotional support amidst long campaigns away from home. These relationships fortified the archer, as family ties and friendships provided the emotional tether that tempered isolation and strengthened resolve. Every return home, whether marked by wounds or tales of victory, reinforced bonds that refreshed the spirit and solidified the archer's place within their community's fabric. The connection to family and home was as integral to the archer as their bower grounding force that reminded them of what they protected. However, this existence was not without its paradoxes. While archery brought a degree of autonomy and respect within the ranks, it nonetheless came with societal inequalities that put archers apart from the nobility who directed them. The skillful precision with which they wielded a bow was counterbalanced by a distinct, if not always acknowledged, lower social standing. This social stratification manifested within the ranks, affecting resource distribution, accommodations, and the overall treatment by more privileged class distinctions. Archers therefore had to navigate both the immediate physical demands of their role and the elaborate social architectures of status, labor, and recognition, often finding resilience in their shared threefold bonds of trade, camaraderie, and perseverance. Reflecting on the life of a medieval archer offers us lessons in the enduring human spirit, revealing inspirational insights into resilience, tenacity, and community connections across history. Their multifaceted roles, steeped in precision, community, and perseverance, provide us with a tangible legacy. Discipline honed by adversity, focus sharpened by constant readiness, a testament to their unmatched capabilities. The archers crafted stories that extend beyond their lifetimes, a testament to their perseverance through adversity, skillful mastery, and profound imprint within the annals of warfare and society. As we explore their narratives, we unearth a reservoir of human qualities, marveling at how their silent yet crucial presence shaped the sinews of medieval history. In understanding the complexity of their roles, we gain appreciation for how their struggles, efforts, and triumphs echo into the modern age, resonating with us about persistence, honor, and the pursuit of excellence against all odds. Amidst the rugged landscape of medieval Europe, the role of the archer emerged as both foundational and transformative, influencing not only the dynamics of war, but the very socio-economic structures of the period. Archery, while a martial skill, was also an economic catalyst, intricately interwoven with the fabric of everyday life and commerce. From the dense forests where yew trees, the primary material for longbows, grew in abundance, to the bustling village workshops of bowyers and fletchers, the archer's presence was deeply embedded within the medieval ecosystem. The demand for bows and arrows stimulated a network of industries, including woodcutting, metalworking, and livestock management, as feathers for fletching were often sourced from local poultry. The exchange of raw materials and finished goods carved out economic corridors that helped sustain communities, anchoring the archer into a larger trade web that included merchants and tradespeople, artisans and apprentices, vividly illustrating how martial needs directly influenced medieval economic vitality. Moreover, the archer's livelihood was often buoyed by their additional roles as hunters, charged with providing food for their communities. In these dual capacities, archers played an integral role in the agrarian economy, understanding seasonal cycles, animal behavior, and the stewardship of game reserves. making them crucial to the sustainability of medieval villages. Their contribution went beyond just wartime preparation, as hunter archers supplied fresh meat, maintained ecological balance, and prevented overpopulation of game species. Leisure hunts, organized by nobility, often relied on skilled archers to construct elaborate hunts that served not just entertainment but reinforced social cohesion, thus strengthening bonds between different strata within society. This positions the archer uniquely within the socio-economic milieu, highlighting their impact on both survival and societal interdependence that was needed to thrive amid prosperity and scarcity. The development of archery reflected a necessity born of both innovation and adaptation. Medieval societies valued archers for their ability to extend defense perimeters and enforce territorial integrity without the corresponding heavy costs associated with fully armored cavalry units. As a result, many lords and barons formed standing forces of archers, securing loyal bands that granted them military flexibility and political leverage. This presence shaped local politics, as alliances were often maintained through exchanges of skilled warriors and the shared spoils of territorial expansion. Within this framework, archers became pivotal to power consolidation, acting as sentinels in times of peace and sentries in war, while reinforcing the social contract between feudal leadership and retainers, rooted in mutual benefit and sustenance derived from martial and economic prowess. Archers also influenced cultural narratives, inscribing their feats into the lore carried forth by minstrels and chroniclers. Legends and storytelling imbued the archer with an aura of mystique and respect, their tales of unerring accuracy and battlefield valor contributing to the shared cultural consciousness. Stories like those of Robin Hood lionized the archer as a folk hero, embodying ideals of justice and resistance against tyranny, perpetuating the image of the archer as a noble outlaw and a champion of the downtrodden. Such narratives transcended mere entertainment. They served as moral compasses, inspiring societal reflection on governance, power, and equity, and affirming the values of skillful individuality and communal duty. This duality of realism, intertwined with romanticism, secured archery as an enduring symbol, enhancing its appeal across generations. Furthermore, the impact of archery reverberated in the diplomatic arenas of the era. The demonstrable prowess of well-trained archers afforded military leverage that was recognized and respected by allies and adversaries alike. Diplomacy was subtly influenced by the capability to project power at a distance, be it through a demonstration of well-coordinated archery units or the rumoured prowess of a lord's standing force. Treaties and truces were occasionally forged under the implicit knowledge of archers' might, reinforcing or deterring actions that could lead to conflict escalation. Castle fortifications evolved too, with their designs integrating capabilities to accommodate long-range defensive strategies, with arrow slits and battlements constructed to optimize an archer's field of vision and range. Inventive developments in bow technology, driven by the need for greater range and penetrative power, were remarkable, as iteratively enhanced through centuries. Crossbows provided mechanical advantage and ease of use compared to traditional longbows, broadening the spectrum of personnel capable of effective archery with limited training. These innovations catalyzed further military evolution, paving the way for the standardization of arms and the eventual transition towards firearm use in later centuries. The progression of these technologies underscores the myriad ways in which archery served as a catalyst for broader military evolution, driving forward engineering and tactics with long-lasting implications. Harnessing archery's strategic advantage also brought about transformations in civic structure, as urban centers and trade hubs became increasingly fortified to withstand sieges and project control over territories. Cities, as economic and administrative centers, implemented garrisons and trained militias capable of utilizing archery in defense, reflecting both a tactical cognizance and an economic imperative to safeguard commerce routes. Thus, cities evolved architectural defenses to account for the capabilities of archers, an acceptance that scarce resources and security were intricately linked to archery's prominence in urban planning and city fortifications, transcending the mere function of destruction and reflecting a broader defensive strategy for economic stability and preservation. The societal, cultural, and economic landscapes of medieval Europe were indisputably woven with the strategic threads of archery, each volley of arrows encompassing a broader story of labour, ingenuity, and necessity. The occupation of archers, situated at the crossroads of warfare and daily life, stimulated changes that rippled across time, creating enduring legacies from localized practices. Archery's development signifies a significant chapter in the chronicles of martial history, a testament to its formative influence over communities, economies, and cultures that stood at the threshold of a transforming world. Engaging with its narrative offers vital insights into the adaptability, resilience, and intertwining of military discipline with socio-economic constructs that profoundly shape the trajectory of medieval societies. In the midst of the dense forests and battlegrounds, the life of a medieval archer was as much about mastering the skill of archery as it was about understanding and navigating the rigid social structures that defined the era. Life for the medieval archer was deeply entwined with societal hierarchies, where the subtleties of status and class dictated both opportunity and challenge. Unlike the knights, who often hailed from noble classes, archers were usually drawn from the common folk, including yeomen and farmers, whose backgrounds were rooted in the agrarian lifestyle. This social stratification was both a burden and a motivation, driving archers to prove their worth on the battlefield, demonstrating skill, endurance, and tactical acumen that often rivaled and sometimes surpassed their more exalted counterparts. Yet, despite their prowess, they remained subject to the feudal norms that place nobility above the merit of expertise, a paradox that characterized much of their experience in a world constrained by an immutable hierarchy that often revered lineage over accomplishment. The role of archers in the military campaigns of this time was essential yet undervalued by comparison to the cavalry or infantry. While archers could shift the tides of battle with their precise volleys, creating openings and disrupting enemy formations, their contributions did not always translate into personal advancement or recognition within the rigidly structured military hierarchy. The socio-political climate of medieval Europe was one where lineage often overshadowed individual merit, a reality that archers experienced firsthand. They were key players on the field, responsible for the initial barrage of arrows that set the stage for ensuing combat, yet they were often excluded from the spoils and honors distributed after victories. The distribution of accolades and rewards traditionally favored the roles considered more prestigious, such as knights leading cavalry charges, which overshadowed the invaluable groundwork laid by the strategic foresight and efficacy of the archers. This lack of recognition, however, did not diminish their crucial role. Rather, it highlighted the disparity in acknowledgement between their tangible contributions and societal perceptions. Despite the constraints of their societal position, many archers possessed a distinct agency rooted in their indispensable skills. The continuous demand for skilled archers in military campaigns often allowed them leverage in negotiations for better pay or conditions, indirectly challenging the stagnant social structures that sought to confine their status. The rise of professional armies necessitated more equitable treatment of the skilled commoners who increasingly formed their backbone. The changing nature of warfare during this period, especially the increased use of archers as vital components of military strategy, subtly shifted the balance of power. This shift underscored a gradual, albeit limited, acknowledgement of their value, prompting some recalibration in the social dynamics, where merit began to play a more prominent, albeit incremental, role in military hierarchies. Skilled archers, through their mastery of craft and strategic importance, thus became embodiments of a quiet, persistent challenge to entrenched systems, using their precision on the field as both physical and symbolic gestures toward a more meritocratic ethos. Additionally, the life of an archer was one of continuous adaptation to the demands of a transforming world. As cities rose and trade flourished, archers who were initially bound to rural life found new opportunities in urban arenas, including serving in city militias or as part of the personal guards for emerging merchant classes. These roles allowed them more stable livelihoods compared to the uncertainties of seasonal warfare, linking them to the evolving commercial and political fabric of burgeoning trade centers. With cities relying increasingly on organized defense and governance structures, archers found themselves in positions that intersected with urban securities, enhancing their influence and integrating them further into city life. This urban migration broadened their horizons beyond war and subsistence, granting them access to forums that enabled social mobility and facilitated cultural exchange. Moreover, as archers engaged more with civic life, they inadvertently participated in and influenced the development of urban guilds and trade associations. These organizations began recognizing the skill and craftsmanship inherent in archery and aligned interests within the broader corpus of trade and craft guilds. Such affiliations provided archers with support networks that extended beyond the battlefield, ensuring that their expertise was preserved, protected, and respected within the socio-economic constructs of their communities. This integration, slowly but surely, enhanced their communal roles from peripheral wartime figures to more permanent fixtures in both economic spheres and local governance. By aligning themselves with such civic institutions, archers tapped into a collective power that allowed them both representation and advocacy within the highly stratified structures of medieval society. The gradual elevation of archery as a respected and necessary skill throughout Europe during this period marked not just a military evolution, but a societal one, wherein the contributions of archers reverberated beyond the battlefield. As archery became recognized in its own right, the broader implications for social change became apparent, subtly advocating for shifts toward recognizing merit, skill, and contribution over birthright alone. This period, therefore, represented not only a significant evolutionary stage in warfare, but also a time when those wielding bows began to challenge and change the old orders of status quo. The widespread implications of these shifts are seen in the gradual dismantling of rigid class perceptions, fostering an incremental rise of individualism and self-made merit that quietly reshaped the societal landscape. The complex interplay between the individual lives of archers and the broader social structures in which they operated exemplifies both the endurance of tradition and the inevitability of transformation. In their disciplined engagement with archery and their strategic roles in warfare, archers stood as prime examples of continuity, transmuting their skills across generations while simultaneously serving as catalysts for social and military change. Their stories reveal the myriad ways in which the fundamentals of archery precision, patience, and perseverance manifested not only in their martial exploits, but also within the societal frameworks they inhabited and influenced. The legacy of the archers stretches across time and space, leaving an indelible mark not just on the pages of military history, but on the very fabric of medieval society, symbolizing the enduring and transformative power of skill and resolve. Amid the winding roads and fortified castles of medieval Europe, siege warfare emerged as a defining feature of military strategy, with archers at the heart of this method of combat. Siege warfare required a distinctive approach, incorporating prolonged patience and relentless pressure to gain control of fortified positions. Archers played a pivotal role in besieging castles and fortifications, tasked with both offensive and defensive maneuvers that demanded precision, endurance, and adaptability. Envision a city under siege, its stone battlements looming against a cloudy sky, where disciplined ranks of archers stand poised just beyond the walls. Their arrows fly in controlled waves, designed to suppress defending forces on the ramparts, covering the advancement of siege engines and infantry, intricately choreographing chaos with an expectation for strategic gains. The bow, in this context, served as both a personal weapon and a tool of psychological warfare, sowing confusion and fear among the besieged, illustrating how strategy interwove with the physicality of warfare. Within a siege, archers carefully calculated angles of attack and ranges, aware that their precision could make the difference between success and failure. Their understanding of trajectories allowed them to rain arrows over walls while avoiding the shields and defensive measures of those entrenched within fortifications. Inside the defending castle, archers were equally critical, tasked with targeting siege technicians and soldiers, manning ladders and towers, disrupting the advance and protecting strategic positions. Both sides understood the value of disabling an opponent's archers, given their critical role in maintaining momentum and spreading disarray. This reciprocal understanding turned archers into esteemed targets and cultivated a fierce duel between opposing lines. From hastily constructed towers outside the castle or from concealed positions within, archers could project force at a distance, providing a modicum of control over chaos, a slicing edge in enduring confrontations with ramifications that often extended beyond the battlefield. Siege tactics required archers to be vigilant and disciplined, enduring not only the challenges of combat, but also the grueling demands of extended campaigns. Months could turn into years as battles of attrition tested the resolve and resources of forces on either side of the walls. For archers, maintaining agility and focus, despite the siege's monotony, was essential to safeguarding their collective efficiency and sharpness of skill. Their lives during sieges were characterized by an unending cycle of preparation, vigilance, and action amidst a backdrop of emotional and physical fatigue, requiring exceptional resilience. The ground beneath their feet became as much a familiar venue of battle as it did a station of prolonged vigilance. Every moment of rest was bound by anticipation and readiness, for a premature arrow loosed or a misjudged volley could spell disaster. Archers' adaptability and persistence made them indispensable stalwarts during these lengthy sieges. These qualities helped bridge the gap between the high-intensity openings and conclusions of engagements and the long periods of tense inactivity in between. Moreover, the psychological impact of archers in siege warfare should not be underestimated. The relentless aerial bombardments had a demoralizing effect on besieged inhabitants, wearing down morale over time. The sound of arrows whistling overhead became an oppressive rhythm of looming threat and inevitable injury, instilling fear among defenders who could see the visible evidence of archer skill. Daylight sieges were fraught with the danger of attack, while nighttime provided no reprieve, as the cover of darkness enabled additional ambushes and bombardments intended to disrupt sleep and resolve. The presence of skilled archers meant that even seemingly simple acts fetching water, moving supplies, or sallying forth for intelligence were fraught with lethal danger, turning the very notion of sanctuary and stronghold upon its head. These conditions emphasized the necessity of archery not just as a military service, but also as a multifaceted force multiplier that influenced the mental state and effectiveness of both friend and foe in populated siege environments. In siege scenarios, the interplay between archer and siege technology was central, with advances in warfare tactics evolving around these two axes. Hand in hand with archers were engineers who crafted innovative devices such as ballistae and siege towers, which operated in concert with the precise volleys of arrows. Archers also provided the eyes and insights for operators adjusting these complex machines, ensuring aim and timing were optimally synchronized. During moments when siege engines breached walls or gates, a flurry of arrows offered protection for the advancing forces moving to exploit the breach further. These collaborations between mechanical advantage and manual accuracy demonstrated how combat effectiveness derived from a holistic synthesis of roles, the success of sieges hinging on this unified application of engineering and archery. The outcomes of medieval sieges helped shape the geopolitical landscape, often determining the fate of regions, territories, and dynasties. Successful sieges could yield rich bounties and expand domains, materially rewarding archers whose precise skills proved vital in overcoming fortified obstacles. On some occasions, leverage attained through effective resistance or acquiescence could shift power balances and shifts in power could ripple outward to influence economic and religious hierarchies. Understanding these consequences highlights how archery's application during sieges had ramifications not just in military circles, but across spheres of influence extending into the political, economic, and social dimensions of medieval life. The role archers played was not merely as warriors or survivors. They were active participants in the machinations of historical change, reinforcing the interconnectedness of martial ingenuity and societal transformation. Their efforts, while often overshadowed by the more monumental narratives of grand battles, contributed significantly to the shifting contours of medieval politics and territory, literally redrawing boundaries through consistent engagement and unyielding perseverance. Archery's utility in siege warfare serves as a testament to the persistent demands of creativity and innovation necessary for overcoming adversity and achieving complex military objectives. It also highlights the levels of coordination, skill, and grit demanded not just from individual archers, but from the wider societies that deployed and supported them. Thus, the legacy of the archer survives as a detailed tapestry of martial accomplishment, a representation of an era where precision, endurance, and strategic insight were entwined with the sheer resilience needed to persist through the sieges that could define conflicts, history, and society alike. In the heart of medieval Europe, archery stood as a pivotal symbol of martial discipline and prowess, an art that reached far beyond the battlefield to influence a multitude of aspects within society, including education, culture, and even recreation. The training of an archer was not just about mastering the bow, but about embedding a sense of discipline and focus that carried into various facets of life. This comprehensive training began in childhood, where the virtues of patience, precision, and endurance became sewn into a young archer's existence, alongside the technical acumen required to shoot with accuracy. These lessons, foundational to the educational paradigm of the time, ensured archers possessed not just physical skill, but the mental resilience to tackle diverse challenges, embodying principles that would serve them in myriad contexts outside martial activities. The commitment to developing such skills underlines the holistic nature of medieval education, where physical dexterity, mental aptitude, and character development were tightly interwoven, preparing individuals to contribute meaningfully to society. Archery's roots also extended into the cultural realm, inspiring art, literature, and folklore that celebrated the skill and heroism associated with the craft. Bards and poets crafted verses extolling the feats of legendary archers, ensuring that tales of prowess with bow and arrow reverberated across generations, becoming embedded within the collective cultural consciousness. These narratives extended archery's influence beyond the physical domain into the sphere of ideals and aspirations, where the metaphor of the archer took aim at concepts of justice, resistance, and personal triumph. Figures like the legendary Robin Hood became embodiments of the spirit of archery, encapsulating themes of courage, fairness, and rebellion against oppression. Their stories captivated audiences, creating cultural icons that articulated broader societal values through the lens of archery, thus cementing the bow not just as a weapon, but as a powerful symbol within a tapestry of shared cultural heritage, encouraging reflection on the moral and ethical dimensions of power and skill. Moreover, archery found its place within the social fabric as a pastime that transcended societal boundaries, engaging both nobility and commoners in contests of skill and accuracy. Archery tournaments became popular events, blending competition with celebration in a manner that reinforced community bonds and collective identity. Such gatherings allowed participants to showcase their abilities, fostering camaraderie among competitors, while also serving as a platform for social mobility, where talent and accomplishment could momentarily blur the rigid lines of class. During these tournaments, individuals who demonstrated exceptional prowess gained recognition and social standing, often catching the eye of patrons or nobility seeking to augment their retinues with skilled archers. The sportive allure of archery served both as a unifying activity and as a subtle mechanism for social negotiation and influence, revealing how leisure and entertainment were interlaced with the broader dynamics of medieval life, echoing the inherent meritocracy of skill that archery represented, hinting at wider possibilities for social change facilitated through shared communal experiences. In educational institutions and in formal settings alike, the practice of archery inculcated principles of self-discipline, strategic thinking, and ethical responsibility. The mental rigor required to master the bow-paralleled decision-making processes necessary in other aspects of life, teaching aspirants not just how to aim true in the literal sense, but to adopt approaches to decision-making that favored reflection and clarity. It encouraged a recognition of one's strengths and weaknesses, promoting continuous self-improvement and personal growth, founding a legacy of learning characterized by active engagement with all endeavors. In this way, archery extended learning beyond rote methods, embracing experiential education that complemented other medieval scholastic efforts. Such pedagogical integration highlights how archery bridged the physical and the philosophical, offering pathways for young minds to explore complex interactions between their actions and the world around them, reinforcing an evolving perception that education, like archery, was about the pursuit of understanding one's environment and enhancing one's place within it. The notion of the archer transcended its martial roots, becoming a symbol of self-sufficiency and agency. This symbolism was particularly resonant in the medieval landscape, where power dynamics were mediated through personal skill and influence. Archers exemplified the potential for individual prowess to circumvent hierarchical restrictions, altering perceptions of power rooted solely in nobility and feudal authority. They demonstrated how disciplines rooted in merit, such as archery, could act as equalizers, challenging social asymmetries by valuing competence alongside birthright. This aspect reshaped societal views, embodying ideals of personal empowerment and the transformative potential inherent in skill mastery, fostering the desire for individual autonomy within the rigid societal structures of the time. Through archery, people found a metaphor for navigating the complexities of social order through the balanced combination of physical prowess, strategic thought, and ethical action. The enduring prominence of archery attests to its profound impact across various spheres, underscoring a multifaceted legacy beyond mere combat utility. The bow, as a tool, as a discipline, and as a cultural motif, served to stimulate advancements and aspirations, connecting lessons of precision and patience with broader themes of resilience and independence. From the structured realms of education and culture to the dynamic arenas of social interaction and self-expression, archery stands as a testament to the human capacity for innovation, adaptation, and growth. It wielded influence as both a practical skill and a transformative journey, driving narratives of change that reached far beyond the battlefields. This reflects the enduring appeal of archery as a source of inspiration, drawing individuals toward its practice and reinforcing the notion that through dedication and mastery, one can carve out a significant and respected place within the communal and historical narrative, emphasizing the interconnectedness of ability and identity throughout the passage of time. In the intricate tapestry of medieval combat, the archer emerged as a figure of formidable prowess and strategic importance, embodying a unique blend of martial skill and tactical acumen. Throughout history, the legacy of the medieval archer has been celebrated and examined for its profound impact on the art of warfare and its lasting influence on societal structures. The rise of the archer as a key military figure was intricately tied to the evolution of battlefield tactics, a transformation that saw shifts from traditional melee combat to strategies that emphasized the nuanced use of ranged weaponry. This transition symbolized a broader shift towards more sophisticated military planning and execution, where precision, timing, and coordination trumped sheer force. Archers, with their deft fingers and sharp eyes, became masters of this approach, strategically positioned to rain down volleys upon the enemy, from distances that granted both advantage and anonymity. The evolution of battlefield tactics revolved around the understanding and mastery of space and time, elements that archers adeptly manipulated to control engagements. The interplay of trained archers within coordinated units illustrated the potency of collective effort over individual combat prowess. Rapid deployment, keen spatial awareness, and disciplined timing characterized their role, embodying the essence of synergy that could dictate the flow and outcome of battles. Archers were often employed to soften enemy lines, creating breaches for advancing cavalry and infantry, a tactic that underscored their crucial role in the broader military apparatus. They disrupted formations, targeted key individuals, and instilled chaos among opposing forces, gradually transforming the battlefield into a theatre of strategic maneuvers. This reliance on methodical tactics reflected a paradigm shift in warfare, highlighting the synthesis of technological advancement and human ingenuity in reshaping the dynamics of engagement. Simultaneously, the socio-political impact of the archer's role cannot be understated, as their presence significantly influenced the fabric of medieval society. With the increasing reliance on archers in military campaigns, the demand for these skilled warriors fostered changes in both social hierarchies and economic structures. Unlike the noble knights, whose martial exploits were often dictated by birthright and fealty, archers were predominantly conscripted from the ranks of commoners, providing a martial avenue for upward mobility. This democratization of military service altered perceptions of valor and honor, shifting some focus from chivalric ideals to meritocratic principles. Archers were acknowledged for their skill and efficacy, albeit within certain constraints, marking the gradual erosion of rigid class distinctions within the military context. Their contributions, celebrated in ballads and tales, exemplified the cultural integration of archery, rooting itself in the collective consciousness as both a literal and metaphorical guardian of communal integrity. The relationship between archery and economic development was equally significant, as the provision and maintenance of archery supplies sparked ancillary industries. Crafting bows, arrows, and related equipment required resources and specialized knowledge that fostered economic activity across regions. Bowyers, fletchers, and metal workers engaged in an interconnected web of trade that facilitated the cultivation and dissemination of materials essential for supporting archery units. This economic interplay extended beyond the immediate circle of artisans to encompass transportation, trade negotiations, and resource management, illustrating the broader economic implications of archery in medieval commerce. The symbiosis of archery and economy echoed the intricate interdependencies vital to sustaining both war efforts and civilian industries, fostering networks of exchange that bolstered medieval societies. Parallel to these developments, the cultural arena embraced archery as both an artistic and recreational pursuit, deepening its societal resonance. Archery festivals and tournaments became fixtures of communal life, where skill was celebrated and bonds were forged through shared competition and spectacle. These events transcended simple displays of martial ability, embedding themselves as platforms for social interaction and cohesion. Participants and spectators alike engaged in the rich tapestry of medieval culture, where archery forged links between various social strata, fostering collective identity and continuity. Through tournaments, archers could achieve recognition, serve as exemplars of skill, and elevate their standing within the community, transcending barriers imposed by class or origin. This communal embrace of archery continued to reinforce its dual role as a medium of personal expression and collective tradition, enriching the cultural and social dimensions of medieval life. As much as archery provided a stage for individual and communal identity, it also represented the enduring human pursuit of precision, mastery, and understanding in an unpredictable world. Its practitioners, through dedication and discipline, harnessed the bow's transformative power, a reflection of broader medieval values that cherished skill, resourcefulness, and the relentless quest for excellence. This perspective elevated archery beyond mere warfare, positioning it as an allegory for humanity's timeless endeavors to shape and understand the world. Archers honed their craft with a discipline that mirrored the artisans, preserving and innovating techniques through generations, a testament to the enduring legacy of archery as a conduit for cultural preservation. The legacy of medieval archers extends far beyond mere participants in conflict. They became catalysts of historical change, blending martial duty with societal evolution. Their skills and strategic insights reshaped military doctrines and brought into focus the intricate dance between human ability and technological advancement. By embodying the spirit of precision and adaptability, archers transformed both the literal and metaphorical landscapes of their time, asserting the power of skill and strategic thought. This enduring legacy speaks to the significance of archery as an art form rooted in history and imbued with lessons applicable to subsequent generations. Moreover, the principles cultivated through the discipline of archery continue to echo within contemporary frameworks echoes of focus, concentration, and perseverance that resonate within modern pursuits. The archer's journey serves as an analogy for striving toward excellence within diverse arenas, advocating the merging of discipline with creativity and precision with vision, enriching the tapestry of human endeavor. As we reflect on the legacy of medieval archers, we uncover narratives that transcend their immediate historical context, offering timeless insights into resilience, transformation, and the perennial quest to master both the external world and one's internal landscape. This narrative continuum highlights the universality of archery's lessons, woven through history as an enduring emblem of human achievement and aspiration. Within the captivating structure of the medieval world, the role of the archer transcended mere functionality, evolving into a potent emblem of skill, dexterity, and strategic innovation. Archers came to symbolize the nuanced shift in military tactics, from the reliance on heavily armored, mounted knights to the incorporation of versatile, agile troops capable of influencing battles from a distance. This transformation was not merely tactical, it signified a deeper philosophical acknowledgement of the essentiality of precision and adaptability over brute force alone. The meticulous training and discipline required to become an adept archer were paralleled in the carefully orchestrated strategies that defined medieval engagements, where the ability to adapt and react quickly became paramount. Archers were trained to anticipate the ebb and flow of battle, using their mastery over range and timing to maintain composure amid chaos, ensuring that each volley was not just an act of aggression, but a strategic contribution to the larger framework of warfare, reflecting the increasingly sophisticated understanding of combat mechanics. The paradigm shift towards incorporating archers into the core military structure necessitated a comprehensive approach to logistics and resource management. Equipping an army with skilled archers required consistent production of bows and arrows, spurring advancements in craftsmanship, and fostering industries centered around metallurgy, woodcraft, and even agriculture to supply the necessary materials. These economic ripples extended beyond military fronts, influencing medieval industry and commerce, as local economies adapted to meet the heightened demands of this martial transformation. The interdependence between military necessity and economic activity became strikingly visible as towns and villages flourished by fulfilling the growing needs of military campaigns, illustrating how advances in military strategy provided a catalyst for broader societal evolution. Local craftsmen became versed in the subtleties of the trade, forging partnerships with armies, and ensuring a stable supply chain that linked small communities to larger military apparatuses. The economic prosperity achieved through this symbiosis buoyed the social standing of craftsmen and labourers, indirectly redefining societal hierarchies and contributing to a gradually evolving view of meritocracy within this era. Furthermore, the resonance of archery extended into the cultural domain, where its influence inspired artistic and literary endeavours that celebrated the thematic elements of archer skill, resilience, and independence. This cultural embrace is vividly captured in manuscripts, tapestries, and oral traditions that weave tales of legendary archers whose exploits and adventures served to personify ideals of freedom, cunning, and justice. Such stories resonated powerfully with medieval audiences, encapsulating the essence of personal and communal ideals through the prism of archery's art. This storytelling tradition not only preserved the legacy of archers within the cultural consciousness, but also provided a vehicle for societal critique and reflection, offering a canvas upon which contemporary values and aspirations were projected. The stories and legends layered archery with symbolic meaning, intertwining the bow and arrow with themes of fate, destiny, and skill, presenting the archer not just as a warrior, but as a cultural protagonist who reflected the ambitions and anxieties of the time. Beyond these narrative realms, archery fostered a sense of unity and identity through competitive events and communal gatherings, where prowess with the bow was displayed in tournaments that combined sport with societal interaction. These events transcended mere competition, evolving into vibrant expressions of communal solidarity and festivity. They provided an avenue for social mobility, allowing talented individuals from various social strata to gain recognition and honor, subsequently impacting their positions within societal hierarchies. Such gatherings transcended the battlefield, embedding archery within the fabric of medieval life, where skill in archery was both a personal attribute and a communal asset. Celebratory in nature, these events highlighted the dual capacity of archery to entertain and edify, fostering a spirit of camaraderie and shared identity that crossed traditional boundaries and created a melting pot of culture, competition, and collective memory. The profound connection between archers and their communities underscored a mutual dependency rooted in both defense and prosperity. As serfs and peasants rose to prominence through skill and determination, the traditional power dynamics underscored by feudal systems underwent subtle shifts, witnessing a gradual acknowledgement of the value that skilled individuals brought to the collective safety and economic thriving of their communities. This integration of archery as a core element within society mirrored broader changes in how medieval communities perceived personal valor, accomplishment, and the interplay between individual skills and communal well-being. By reinforcing merit and skill over tradition, archery laid groundwork that would contribute to the slow conceptual evolution towards more balanced social structures, challenging rigid class distinctions and heralding gradual shifts toward more equitable frameworks of social capital. Strategically, archers exemplified the marriage of individual capability with collective ambition, illustrating the necessity of adaptability and foresight within military strategy. Their nuanced understanding of terrain, weather, and psychology played crucial roles in configuring how military engagements were conducted, cementing archers as strategic assets whose expertise informed the planning and execution of campaign objectives. By underpinning their effectiveness with a blend of tactical acumen and creative strategy, archers often altered the course of confrontations, illustrating the evolving dynamics between innovation and tradition that characterized the era's military doctrine. Through their actions, archers demonstrated the transformative impact of precision and adaptation, redefining the boundaries of engagement and influencing the directional flow of conflict to shape historical outcomes significantly. As embodiments of both cultural vibrancy and martial prowess, archers occupied a unique space at the intersection of tradition and transformation, with their legacy continuing to resonate through subsequent generations. The principles of discipline, adaptability, and skillful observation crystallized through the practice of archery were not constrained to martial domains, but influenced broader paradigms of thought and action, informing an evolving discourse on growth, mastery, and the human condition. Each arrow loosed from an archer's bow carried forth the essence of disciplined effort, honed skill, and strategic foresight, echoing through time as lessons in resilience and precision. Their enduring legacy finds relevance in modern analogies, illustrating timeless truths about the pursuit of excellence, the merging of intellect with action, and the perpetual striving towards balanced harmony with one's environment. The medieval archer, thus, becomes an exemplar not just of historical significance, but of the broader human endeavor to persist, adapt, and innovate, weaving the lessons of the past into the fabric of contemporary understanding. The legacy of the medieval archer is woven through the tapestry of history, reaching into the hearts and minds of those who lived by the bow and carried forward its transformative influence into their time. The archer was much more than a mere soldier. He was a pivotal architect of military strategy and a catalyst for socio-economic evolution. In an era defined by hierarchical structures and rigid class strata, the introduction and subsequent rise of archers redefined warfare, empowered commoners, and imbued cultural narratives with notions of merit and skill over inherited privilege. The aptitudes honed by archers were not only a product of precise training and intense discipline, but also reflective of a profound understanding of the complex dynamics between man, weapon, and the intricate politics that dictated power. Archers personified the virtue of versatility, embodying the adaptability required to fluidly shift between the demands of open field engagements, skirmishes, and drawn-out sieges, where patience and precision held the highest value, a stark contrast to the impetuous valor displayed by their knightly counterparts. Their evolution from auxiliary forces to essential components of military campaigns highlighted not just their rising importance, but a broader ideological shift within martial strategies, underscoring an appreciation for strategic thinking and cooperative combat tactics over sheer force of arms. At the core of this transformation was an understanding that the success of campaigns often hinged upon intelligence, cunning, and the ability to shape the battlefield from a distance. The archer's focus on range allowed for the manipulation of engagement dynamics, enabling commanders to disrupt enemy formations, create vulnerabilities, and capitalize on the element of surprise. By implementing combined arms approaches, wherein archers played pivotal roles, medieval strategies mirrored modern concepts of integrated combat tactics, valuing the collaborative synergy of diverse military assets over the independent actions of elite units. This shift reflected not merely the changing nature of warfare, but an evolving appreciation for the nuanced interdependence of various combat roles, each complementing and enhancing the other's effectiveness, culminating in outcomes that maximized the strategic objectives of feudal lords and sovereigns across Europe. Beyond the battlefield, the implications of archery extended into the socio-political realm, where its influence was felt in the gradual loosening of rigid social structures. The necessity for skilled archers fostered environments where merit-based recognition occasionally punctuated the otherwise impenetrable class barriers, offering commoners a pathway to elevate their status within the military and, by extension, society. As archers demonstrated their worth, they challenged entrenched feudal hierarchies, subtly advocating for a meritocratic valuation of skill and capability. This transition, though not overtly revolutionary, contributed to the broader socio-political dialogues that questioned the legitimacy and sustainability of structurally rigid power distributions, planting seeds that would grow into movements for greater social equity in subsequent centuries. The archer's role in this context was indicative of larger societal shifts towards valuing personal achievement and contribution, gradually redefining the parameters of honor and status. Moreover, the economic impact of archery cannot be underestimated, as the steady demand for bows, arrows, and related materials spurred growth within various sectors of medieval economies. The craftsmanship required to produce precision-made implements created jobs, stimulated trade, and cultivated a network of artisans who fostered gradual industrial progress. This economic undercurrent not only supported the military ambitions of rulers, but also allowed for greater connectivity among regions, facilitating exchange not only of goods, but ideas and cultural practices. Archers, therefore, contributed indirectly to this economic web by drawing upon and feeding into these networks, embodying the interconnected nature of medieval social and economic ecosystems. Their presence mirrored and accelerated broader patterns of economic integration, investment in infrastructure, and the diversification of medieval economisa, kind of proto-globalization within the restrictions of the medieval world. Culturally, archery left an indelible mark on the social landscape, with its symbolism permeating literature, art, and folklore. Tales of archers, such as the renowned figure of Robin Hood, transcended generations, encapsulating values of justice, skill, and resistance against tyranny. These legends offered more than merely escapist narratives. They engaged in social commentary by providing aspirational figures whose skills and ethical compass stood in stark contrast to institutional corruption and inequity. Archery became synonymous with themes of fairness and balance, its imagery arcing through tapestries and scripts where the bow and arrow symbolized the straight and true, both in physical trajectory and moral integrity. This cultural embedding ensured that the archer's impact endured well beyond the historical period of their prevalence, shaping perceptions about the interface between state power and citizenry. Participation in competitive archery events reinforced societal bonds through festivity and fellowship, bridging social gaps with the universal appeal of fair competition and shared excellence. These events were microcosms of medieval society, where status could be set aside temporarily in favor of celebrating individual skill and collective enjoyment. Archery contests served not merely as entertainment, but as mechanisms for reinforcing communal identities, offering moments of unity and pride, where participants and spectators alike engaged in the shared cultural heritage fostered by archery. Their importance extended to shaping local customs and traditions, becoming events around which communities rallied, drawing disparate elements of medieval life into cohesive social functions. The legacy of the medieval archer, then, is a complex tapestry woven with threads of military evolution, social transformation, economic integration, and cultural resonance. They stand as testaments to the perpetual human balancing act between individual skill and collective effort, capturing the essence of an era defined by its contrasts and convergences. The prowess, strategy, and cultural symbolism of archery embodied the fledgling principles of merit and ingenuity over privilege and rigidity, challenging conventions through the silent power of its cord and arrow. As we explore their historical impact, we observe the enduring truth that within the flight of each arrow lies a testament to the human spirit's quest for mastery, understanding, and a just place within the ordered chaos of history, a lesson continually retaught by the timeless echoes of the archer's bowstring. Through their influence, archers shaped not just the battlefields upon which they fought, but also the very contours of medieval social consciousness, creating enduring legacies that still resonate in echoes of today's pursuits of precision, parity, and purpose. The medieval archer, a figure of disciplined precision and strategic prowess, stood at the crossroads of historical transformation, influencing both war and society in profound ways. During an era characterized by feudal hierarchies and militaristic growth, archers were not just craftsmen of the battlefield, they were pivotal players in the evolving drama of medieval life, weaving their narrative into the fabric of both military and civilian structures. The elevation of archers within these systems was largely due to the changing nature of warfare, where the effectiveness of direct, face-to-face combat began yielding to tactics that leveraged distance and precision. This shift saw archers move from supporting roles to center stage, their skill in ranged attacks offering decisive advantages in battles that increasingly valued strategic forethought and collective coordination over traditional displays of individual heroism. Their ability to control the pace and scope of engagements meant that archers became indispensable in both offensive and defensive contexts, showcasing the importance of tactical integration in combat operations that went beyond mere head-on clashes to embrace nuanced, multifaceted approaches to medieval warfare. The efficacy of archers stemmed from their rigorous training and an acute understanding of their craft, which involved mastering both the physical and intellectual demands of their art. Training camps and guilds became vibrant centers for the dissemination and enhancement of archery skills, where knowledge was both taught and shared within a framework that celebrated precision, patience, and strategic planning. These institutions played a crucial role in preserving and advancing the technical and mechanical aspects of archery, ensuring a steady lineage of skilled archers who could adeptly navigate the complexities of warfare. The curriculum was as much about honing the mind as it was about strengthening the body, emphasizing critical thinking, swift adaptation to dynamic battlefield situations, and the cultivation of mental resilience. Such comprehensive development meant archers were not only sharp shooters but keen strategists, capable of reading the battle environment and making split-second decisions that could shape the course of combat. In societal terms, archers catalyzed shifts in class dynamics and economic productivity. Their rise highlighted a gradual move towards meritocracy, as their skills offered commoners a rare avenue for advancement within the rigid feudal hierarchy. This emerging class of professional soldiers challenged traditional norms that had long equated military prowess with noble birthright, subtly advocating for recognition based on ability and contribution rather than lineage. The demand for proficient archers, spurred by continual conflicts, created a socio-economic niche that supported artisans, labourers, and industries dedicated to producing and maintaining archery equipment, thereby fostering localized economies and facilitating interregional trade. This undercurrent of economic activity, symbiotically linked to military needs, helped stimulate agricultural and manufacturing sectors, contributing to the broader economic dynamism characteristic of the medieval period. Consequently, the symbiotic relationship between archery and economic expansion mirrored the interconnectedness of medieval society, demonstrating how advancements in one sphere often kindled progress across others. Culturally, the proliferation of archery influenced artistic endeavours, injecting themes of precision and vigilance into the narrative fabric of medieval literature and lore. The iconic image of the adept archer poised, focused, and seemingly solitary became a potent metaphor for individual excellence and the triumph of skill over circumstance, finding expression in a vast array of cultural productions. From epic poetry to moral fables, archery represented steadfastness, the careful calibration of risk and reward, and the relentless pursuit of perfection, imbuing collective narratives with motifs that resonated across social and personal dimensions. Legendary figures such as Robin Hood, whose deeds were immortalized in chronicles and ballads, encapsulated the archetype of the archer as a champion of justice and defiance, capturing the imagination of generations and embodying ideals that questioned existing power structures. This cultural embrace served to elevate archery from mere pastime or profession to a symbol imbued with broader societal significance, maintaining public consciousness and political commentary long after its martial innovations had faded. On the battlefield, the strategic deployment of archers provided a keystone to the success of medieval campaigns. Archers' capacity to dictate engagements through distance and accuracy complemented the maneuvers of cavalry and infantry, sealing their role as unit force multipliers. Their ability to operate effectively from fortified positions, command topographical advantages, and execute coordinated attacks transformed the landscape of medieval warfare, marking a shift towards strategies that integrated diverse combat roles into cohesive military operations. Archers were cherished assets in sieges where their acute precision demoralized besieged forces and helped lay the groundwork for enduring victories. The tactical methodologies that emerged from these engagements form a precursor to modern strategic doctrines that emphasize the dynamic interplay of various military arms working in concert to achieve overarching objectives. The lasting influence of the archer is evident in the gradual evolution of military doctrines and the enduring cultural motifs that celebrate their role. As war technology advanced and new forms of warfare emerged, the legacy of archery was not lost. It adapted, providing foundational principles that informed subsequent innovations in ranged combat and tactical planning. The transition from bows to firearms saw the continued significance of precision and coordination, principles inherited directly from the practices developed by medieval archers. This legacy is not merely a relic of the past, but a continuing influence on contemporary perceptions of military conduct and the enduring value of skill, creativity, and adaptation in complex environments. In synthesizing these elements, the medieval archer emerges not only as a master of warfare, but as an impactful player in the chronicles of societal evolution, leaving behind an indelible mark on history. Their journey encapsulates a narrative of transformation, resilience, and ingenuity characteristics that transcend their historical context and remain instructive today. Through their story, we reflect upon the broader significance of innovation, collaboration, and strategic thought that informs the evolving tapestry of human endeavor. As we delve into this history, we discover that the lessons derived from the Archer's Arc continue to resonate, offering insights that enrich not only our understanding of the past, but our conceptualization of strategic excellence and socio-cultural progress in the present and future. The tale of the archer, therefore, remains an enduring testament to the power of honed skill, adaptability, and the perpetual human quest for mastery and meaning, both in times of conflict and in the quiet pursuits of peace. During the medieval era, the life of an archer was not confined to the martial duties of the battlefield. It extended into the very core of societal development, reflecting the intricate interplay between military innovation and communal evolution. The medieval archer, often celebrated for his marksmanship and strategic ingenuity, was an integral part of the shifting paradigms that defined the social and economic structures of the time. As communities grew more interdependent, the role of the archer evolved to encapsulate not just the responsibilities of defense and warfare, but also as vital components in the enduring tapestry of local and regional cultures. The archer's life was one of rigorous discipline and constant readiness, embodying a blend of utilitarian function and cultural symbolism that signified the elevation of skill over nobility. This elevation represented a subtle yet meaningful shift from hierarchical determinants of power towards a recognition of personal merit and capability, challenging the established order and contributing to an atmosphere that favored incremental reforms in governance and societal organization. The archer became a bridging figure, mercurial entity, able to navigate both the battlefield and communal life, rendering their existence both pragmatic and of profound significance to the medieval ethos. At the heart of an archer's role was the mastery of technology and nature working in concert, as archers relied on their intimate knowledge and manipulation of natural resources to effectively perform their duties. The crafting of bows and arrows was not only a technical endeavor, but a cultural craft that integrated the artisan's skill with the local ecosystem's gifts. This synthesis underscored medieval insights into resource management, illustrating an economic system where sustainability was jealously guarded not just for martial purposes, but for sustaining the socio-economic health of the community. The production of archery equipment stimulated localized industries, providing vital employment and driving economic interactions between rural and urban centers. This network of trade and craftsmanship forged connections beyond local confines, encouraging a nascent form of economic interdependence that presaged the burgeoning trade routes and commercial interactions that would later characterize the Renaissance. The archers' relationship with these burgeoning economies showcased the often underappreciated way in which military necessity catalyzed advancements in trade and economic development, forming foundations for future societal progress and innovation across Europe. Societies reliant on archers also began incorporating their practices and ideals into the cultural fabric, reinforcing values such as precision, patience, and strategic acumen through stories and traditions passed down through generations. Iconic figures such as Robin Hood emerged from these traditions, encapsulating archery's broader philosophical impact upon the medieval imagination. Such tales transcended entertainment, rooted in the deeper ethos of communal justice, resourcefulness, and resistance against tyranny. The narrative of the heroic archer thus became a powerful vehicle for exploring moral and ethical questions within society, grounding folklore in themes that echoed the aspirations and struggles of the common folk, offering a counter-narrative to the predominantly knight-centric histories. In literature and folklore, the portrayal of archers and their exploits inspired the valorization of common heroes, subtly critiquing contemporary power structures, while imparting enduring lessons on the value of wit and dexterity over brute strength or inherited power. Moreover, the practice of archery itself served as a catalyst for social cohesion and interaction, transcending social barriers through tournaments, which became integral to communal celebration and unity. These events fostered a sense of inclusion and shared identity, bridging gaps between differing social roles through a universal appreciation of skill and competition. The tournaments offered a stage where talent could be freely displayed and celebrated, with archers rising to prominence through their performance, gaining respect, and, in some cases, bringing opportunities for social mobility. The convergence of persons from varied backgrounds, merchants, artisans, and nobility alike, these gatherings reflected broader movements toward an interconnected community where individual merit could surface in public consciousness, fostering relationships that crossed traditional class lines. Archery's role within these events highlighted its function beyond warfare, demonstrating its value as a medium for fostering social bonds, cultural continuity, and an inclusive sense of community pride, enhancing both local and broader socio-political landscapes. As military strategies evolved, archers became essential to the shifting balance of power between competing factions, their skills increasingly sought after in both offense and defense across Europe's numerous feudal conflicts. The arithmetic of range and precision they brought to the battlefield altered warfare by prioritizing preparation and predicting opponent movements, which curtailed the effectiveness of direct confrontation favored by heavily armored knights. Archers' presence in military campaigns underscored a shift in tactical priorities, heralding strategies that emphasized coordination and collective action. Their integration into combined arms tactics mirrored early practices of modern military doctrines, where the sum of diverse contingents working through synergistic complexities proved decisive in engagements. This strategic innovation laid the foundation for evolutions in command and control, presaging developments in warfare that blended technology and human ingenuity in increasingly nuanced ways. The reliance on archers underscored the growing appreciation for foresight and adaptability, with battles increasingly defined by the ability to anticipate and outmaneuver, demonstrating the strategic foresight that came to hallmark medieval military leadership. Even as firearms gradually supplanted the bow, the entrenched principles embodied by archery calibration, attentiveness, and strategic insight continued to influence emerging doctrinal paradigms. Archery's decline was counterbalanced by the perpetuation of its core tenets within military thought and practice, as new forms of artillery adopted the values of precision and coordination long championed by archers. These enduring principles became embedded within the strategic lexicon, informing subsequent military revolutions while maintaining an underlying continuity of tactical values. The adaptability and elegance of archery inspired innovations that transformed warfare, ensuring its influence extended beyond the battlefield into spheres of logistical consideration and command structure, shaping the trajectory of martial development within an increasingly interconnected world. Culturally, the figure of the archer persisted as a metaphor for balance, concentration, and triumph over adversity, reflecting values that transcend temporal boundaries. As society reimagined itself through expansive upswellings of knowledge and commerce in subsequent eras, archery's legacy persisted as a symbol of resilience, skill, and the human capacity to adapt creatively to challenges. The archer served as an allegorical stand-in for human potential and aspirations, a figure illustrative of both individual mastery and a collective striving for significance and excellence. Their historical narrative, interwoven with both reality and metaphor, provides insights into the cultural evolution of societies that continued to venerate skill and merit over inherited status or brute power, shedding light on the ongoing quest for more equitable paths laid through cultural memory. In exploring the legacy of medieval archers, it's apparent that their influence extended far beyond the immediate context of war. They were dynamic agents of change, integral to the social and cultural transformation that defined the medieval period, and its echoes resonate today. Their practices informed emerging economic patterns, inspired cultural narratives, and provoked subtle realignments in the social order. Through their precise dedication to mastery both on and off the battlefield, archers epitomize the intertwined nature of martial prowess and societal advancement, illustrating history's broader rhythms of adaptation and evolution, an enduring reminder of the sophisticated interplay between discipline and progress. This legacy invites us to reflect on the cyclical patterns of human history, where skill, creativity, and the keen arrow of insight remain central to navigating the complex interplay of tradition and innovation that continue to sculpt our world. In the medieval landscape shaped by feudal allegiances and dynastic power struggles, the role of the archer emerged not just as a matter of tactical necessity, but as a defining element of evolving military doctrine, impacting socio-political dynamics far beyond the battlefield. The archer was a unique blend of craftsman and soldier, embodying a skill set that required both exceptional physical dexterity and strategic ingenuity. This duality of role underscored the transformative power of archery in medieval warfare, shifting engagements from brute confrontations to orchestrated symphonies of strategic forethought. The archer's ability to influence the course of battles from a distance through precise volleys and coordinated action redefined the martial landscape, blending the art of combat with the science of strategy. As heralds of change, archers heralded a shift toward integrated military tactics that valued collaborative synergy and astute planning over independent heroism. This evolution in warfighting mirrored larger societal shifts, where the increasing complexity of military operations demanded a more sophisticated approach to both strategy and structure. Instead of the elite standing armies, composed predominantly of nobility and their heavy cavalry, medieval military campaigns began to incorporate larger elements of commoners trained as archers. This integration provided a new paradigm within which societal roles could be negotiated, illustrating a form of proto-democratization where skill and competence could spur advancement, challenging the rigid class distinctions deeply entrenched in feudal systems. As military reliance on archers grew, so did the recognition of their indispensability, prompting subtle shifts in the social order that instigated new dialogues about meritocracy, recognition, and reward. This transformation was most visibly manifested in legal and economic reforms that began to accommodate the needs and contributions of archers, marking an early transition towards more inclusive approaches to governance and administration. As such, archery became a conduit for broader societal discussions about the balance between inherited privilege and earned acclaim, helping to foster an environment where the seeds of social mobility could begin to take root and flourish. The economic implications of archery's rise cannot be underestimated, as it spurred the expansion of industries vital to its maintenance and practice. The burgeoning demand for bows, arrows, and ancillary equipment fostered a network of craftspeople and tradespeople specializing in woodcraft, metallurgy, and fletching, providing stable livelihoods and creating supply chains that linked rural producers with burgeoning urban markets. This web of economic activity stimulated technological innovation, refining processes of production and distribution that would reverberate through time. By creating a more interconnected economic framework, it paved the way for advancements in industrial organization and market expansion, laying the groundwork for the commercial revolution that would later sweep across Europe. As an industry sustained by the demands of archery matured, it nourished parallel advancements in logistics, transportation, and commerce, contributing to the evolving economic landscape characterized by increased productivity and regional interactions. Culturally, archers were immortalized in the art and lore of the era, their exploits serving to bridge the gap between historical reality and the imaginative aspirations of medieval society. Tales of skilled archers, such as those recounting the exploits of the legendary Robin Hood, offered narratives of justice and symbolism that transcended time, becoming emblems of resistance and champions of righteousness. These stories captured the public's imagination, personifying the virtues of precision, bravery, and ethical leadership, while projecting an ideal of social balance and moral equity. Archery, therefore, managed to transcend its role as a combat skill, fashioning itself into a powerful cultural motif assimilated into the very fabric of medieval identity and aspiration. This cultural resonance served not only to reinforce the archer's martial values within society, but also to challenge contemporary power structures, offering imaginative spaces in which heroic ideals and social critique could intermingle, fostering a collective dialogue that explored and imagined possibilities of societal reform. In times of peace, archers played significant roles within their communities, integrating seamlessly into the daily rhythms of medieval life. Their skills were not only in demand for military and defense purposes, but stood as a testament to their utility in the crucial roles of hunting, land management, and local law enforcement. By providing both sustenance and security, archers helped sustain their communities, reinforcing their indispensable status beyond the bounds of warfare. The integration of archers into community life not only contributed to the day-to-day operations of medieval society, but also acted to diffuse the martial ethos throughout the social structure, embodying a blend of civic duty and martial readiness. This melding of roles promoted a cohesive community spirit and reinforced values of mutual dependence and collective security, enriching the social tapestry with traditions of service that interlinked civilian and martial domains, blurring the boundaries between military and non-military life in meaningful ways. The innovation of archery also advanced the strategic doctrine of siege warfare, where the versatility and range of archers became instrumental in both attack and defense. From elevated positions within siege engines or castle battlements, archers could command vast areas, warding off enemy assaults or providing cover for advancing troops. Their utility during sieges exemplified the adaptation of military strategy to the technical capabilities of archery, allowing for more nuanced engagements than mere frontal assaults. The integration of archery into siege tactics illustrated a sophisticated understanding of control over space and time within the context of warfare, transforming the mechanics of assaults and defenses across Europe. Furthermore, the adaptiveness of archers showcased the use of technology to augment human skill, foreshadowing future innovations in weaponry that prioritized range, accuracy, and flexibility, evolving the nature of military conflicts from close-quarter engagements to complex strategic operations, spanning distances and involving multiple layers. As the historical prominence of archery gave way to emerging gunpowder technologies, the principles honed by medieval archers' precision in execution, strategic foresight, and adaptabilities served as enduring legacies influencing the evolution of modern military doctrines. These core tenets, deeply embedded within the fabric of archery, transcended the transition from bows to firearms, informing new realms of martial thought and technical craft. The transition to early firearms retained archery's commitments to accuracy and strategic deployment. However, the lessons imparted transcended mere combat, inspiring broader applications in the philosophies of skill mastery, discipline, and the integration of technology with natural human capabilities. Consequently, the narrative arc of medieval archery continues to shape contemporary understandings of military history, technology, and cultural resilience, offering timeless lessons applicable to the strategies of military and civilian spheres alike. By examining the role of archers throughout medieval history, we observe their profound impact as both catalysts of martial evolution and cultural integration. Their influence extended beyond the physical realm of the battlefield, reverberating through the social and economic contours of the period, echoing through generations with persistent resonance. Archery's enduring legacy reflects the harmonization of skill, social mobility, and cultural representation, showcasing the complex dance between tradition and innovation. This interplay illuminates the dynamic nature of medieval societies, where the forces of change and continuity forged complex networks that contributed to regional developments and the broader European experience. The legacy of archers invites us to explore the overlap between martial value and communal pacifism, providing a testament to the enduring dialogue between individual agency, collective identity, and societal transformation in the grand narrative of human history.